Hello and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
The headlines in the southeast. Anger as the Home Office takes over Kent hotels to tackle the Manston migrant crisis.
Last week we had a phone call which said, "We're sorry, we've had to cancel your hotel booking for your wedding because the government have taken over our hotel to house asylum seekers."
A retired teacher who survived pancreatic cancer says early intervention saved her life. Tonight, the pioneering research that could save thousands more.
It is frightening, and it is, when you think, oh, if I go to the doctors, people don't want to go because they're frightened of what the diagnosis might be.
Also tonight, going green, seeing red. Soaring energy costs pulled the plug on electric vehicle sales across the southeast.
And the lettuce has the last laugh. Britain's shortest serving PM is unveiled as this year's Celebrity Guy by Edenbridge Bonfire Society. Good evening. Council leaders in Kent say public services are at breaking point after the Home Office moved to block book hundreds more hotel rooms to house asylum seekers in response to the crisis at Manston.
In Ashford, it means a second large hotel has been closed to the public with weddings and parties cancelled.
One of the migrants moved there this week has told us she feels stuck in a slow system, being moved to 5 different hotels since arriving in Britain. Kit Bradshaw has the story.
It's very hard moving in different places and everybody say it's sad.
A year after she arrived in the UK from El Salvador, Roxana is living in limbo, being moved from hotel to hotel, unable to put down roots.
The Home Office moving in different hotels, 5 hotels. But I am tired, because I lost appointments and I lost college, I lost everything.
She's one of more than 100,000 people stuck in the asylum backlog. Do you hope that you get a decision soon?
I think so, but no, I don't have interview. I only wait. I don't know when.
But despite the waiting, she's glad she came here.
And my country is very dangerous for gangster.
So you wanted the safety?
Yes, I feel safe here.
Safety now, for Roxana and hundreds of others, is a large hotel in Ashford, which we're not naming for legal reasons. Cones block the entrance. Every room now booked by the Home Office. Using hotels as accommodation for asylum seekers is nothing new. But given the big increase in the numbers crossing in small boats this year, there's suddenly the need for many more rooms. And that means in Ashford alone, this is one of 2 large hotels currently being used for such a purpose. For Carol Harrigan and her fiancé Chris Wise, that means finding a new venue for their big day.
Last week we had a phone call. "We're sorry, we've had to cancel your hotel booking for your wedding because the government have taken over our hotel to house asylum seekers for the next 12 months.
And how did you feel when you heard that?
Well, we were a bit shocked, a bit flabbergasted, but it would seem that the owners of the hotel have made a commercial decision with total disregard for the people of Ashford.
The hotel company declined to comment, while Kent's council leaders have been highly critical of the situation in a joint letter to the Home Secretary. They write, put simply, Kent is at breaking point. Our public services, including health, social care and schools, are already under extreme pressure from surging local demand and the cost of living crisis. The Home Office have failed at every turn to seek the expert insight of statutory partners. Every time we are then promised lessons are learnt, only for the same thing to happen again, most recently with the procurement of a hotel in Ashford this week.
This isn't a good system. I can understand why hotels get used in a crisis, but what we need is a long-term strategic plan for accommodation for asylum seekers. We also need to move them through the system far quicker.
The Home Office told us it's currently spending £5.5 million a day on hotel rooms for asylum seekers. A spokesperson admitted that was unacceptable and said they're working hard with local authorities to find appropriate accommodation. Kit Bradshaw, ITV News, Ashford.
Well, despite hundreds of people being moved out of the migrant centre at Manston into alternative accommodation over the last 2 days, it's still understood to be operating well over capacity tonight.
Protesters gathering for a vigil outside are calling for the facility to be closed down. Sarah Saunders is there for us live tonight. Sarah, do we know how many people have been transferred?
We have a rough idea, yes. We understand that about 600 people were moved yesterday, with many more being transferred today. But there are still concerns about what have been described as wretched living conditions here. Today, one gentleman who's been living in Oxford for 25 years came down to Manston. He wanted to get news of his brother and his young nephew, who he believes are inside.
I'm very, very upset, very, very upset. We don't deserve this one. I think what I heard there, they don't have even no facility for the toilet or nothing. No bed, no sheets, no nothing. I think in one toilet they wash 100 people in there. You know, that's what I heard. Shameful, very shameful. Look how they treat them. My God, can you believe it? Look how they treat them.
Well, you can see behind me people are gathering today for a vigil to express their concern and their solidarity with those inside, among them Kay Marsh. Kay, the Home Office says they are meeting the basic needs of the asylum seekers here, and numbers are coming back down to what we understand to be operationally normal. So for here at least, is that the end of your concerns?
Absolutely not. First of all, we don't believe either of those things are happening. The conditions inside have been proven to be absolutely inhumane and not meeting people's basic needs. And as for numbers, with a capacity of a maximum of 1,600, numbers were up to 4,000 yesterday. It's completely unacceptable.
Now, the government said it's acknowledged the asylum system is overwhelmed, and today we're hearing Kent Council saying they are at breaking point. It's extraordinary. Now, if this isn't the solution, what is?
Well, there's no question as to whether or not the immigration system is broken. It's how we fix it. We need to take a more compassionate approach. One option would be to give the people an option to work while their claims are being processed. This would take away the need to offer so much support, and it would put around 100 million a year back into the economy.
And Kay, as well as being here to express concerns today, I gather that there have been some support offered by the people gathered here.
Yes, absolutely. People here tonight have brought toys and food and blankets just in the hope that they may be able to get inside. We don't know yet if they're going to be taken, but we're going to try.
Well, we understand that by this weekend numbers should return to what is understood to normally be normal for this facility.
Sarah, live in Manston, thank you.
Well, a group of MPs who want to visit Manston have still not been told when they'll be able to do so. Members of the Home Affairs Select Committee want to see conditions there for themselves after hearing shocking evidence about Manston last week.
Meanwhile, the Labour leader said the whole asylum system isn't working, and he told the Prime Minister to get a grip. From Westminster, political correspondent Phil Hornby reports.
It's become the #1 issue in British politics. MPs from all parties furious about the numbers crossing the Channel, frustrated that they haven't been allowed to organise their own fact-finding mission to Manston.
The Home Office has agreed in principle to our visiting, but has, in spite of repeated requests for a visit this Thursday, refused to agree any date and refused to enable our visit this week to see what is happening on the ground.
The crisis dominated Prime Minister's questions.
Get a proper Home Secretary, scrap the Rwanda gimmick, crack down on smuggling gangs, end the small boat crossings, speed up asylum claims and agree an international deal on refugees. Start governing for once and get a grip.
I sat down with the Lib Dem leader and asked him if he agreed with the Home Secretary that the South East is being invaded.
I think there were divisive and offensive words by the Home Secretary, but there is a huge problem. And the one thing I do agree with Suella Braverman is the Conservatives have failed on the asylum system.
What would you do?
It is absolutely broken.
What would you do to stop those small boats coming?
Well, we've got to crack down on those criminal gangs, haven't we?
Well, everyone says that. What does it mean?
Well, there's organised crime, and we need to work with Europol and Eurojust to make sure there's proper organisation to get those criminal gangs that operate across Europe. We also need to have safe and legal routes, alternative routes.
And from the Prime Minister today, not many answers beyond attacking the opposition.
If the party opposite was really serious about this, they would realise that we have to stop illegal migration. that we have to stop the exploitation of vulnerable people abroad. But they have opposed every single measure.
But he knows if he fails to sort this out, his premiership might not recover. Phil Hornby, ITV News, Westminster.
Well, there's more on the situation at Manston, as well as the rest of the day's news on our website, of course. itv.com/Meridian, as always, is the address.
A man who led police on a 35-mile high-speed chase along motorways in Kent to Surrey has been jailed for more than 5 years. Rooney White reached speeds of up to 130 miles per hour along the M26 and M25 earlier this year after trying to evade officers. He was caught and arrested in a field with the assistance of the National Police Air Service.
A police watchdog is warning failures in the vetting process could result in thousands of corrupt police officers serving. HM Inspector of Constabulary says the chances of Wayne Cousins, who's from Deal, who killed Sarah Everard, being given a job in the force would have been reduced if changes had been made.
The UK's largest Wetherspoons has been closed in Kent following an outbreak of sickness amongst staff. The pub chain has confirmed that the pub on Ramsgate seafront is shut while a deep clean takes place. It says there are no reports of any customers experiencing sickness.
A woman from Sussex who survived pancreatic cancer says new research into the disease could potentially save thousands of lives.
Almost 90% of people with the disease are diagnosed too late for treatment that could cure them. However, a university study could change that, as James Dunham now explains.
He was going to give me a rooftop incision. That's it there.
On this A4 sheet of paper, a diagram outlines how Yvonne's consultant would remove the potentially fatal cancer from her pancreas.
They would cut out about 2/3 of the pancreas and leave a third still in situ.
The tumour was spotted in its early stages, giving her the best chance of survival.
I didn't realise for 12 months after my surgery that it was so deadly.
Do you feel incredibly lucky?
I do.
Survive this?
I do, yeah. I mean, it is frightening, and it is, when you think, oh, if I go to the doctors, people don't want to go because they're frightened of what the diagnosis might be. But if you let it go, it could be much more frightening.
As an organ located deep in the abdomen, pancreatic cancer can be difficult to detect, but 2 in 3 people have little knowledge of the symptoms, with 5 in 10 unaware pale or very smelly bowel movements could be a sign, while 6 in 10 do not know that heartburn could be a possible symptom. Researchers from Surrey and Oxford universities are investigating how other signs such as weight loss and being diabetic develop in pancreatic cancer patients, with just 20% of cases in Kent and Sussex detected at stages 1 and 2. The results could see diagnosis up to 3 years earlier.
The knowledge of how those symptoms behave in people with pancreatic cancer and compare this to people that will never have pancreatic cancer or that do not have pancreatic cancer at the moment might help clinicians to be more alert to those symptoms.
Ali Stunt from Sussex received life-changing surgery just weeks before it would have been too late. For over a decade, she's spearheaded a campaign for more research and awareness.
Currently, the 5-year survival rate is 7.3%, and that's not really moved much in the last 50 years. So if you get diagnosed in time for surgery, followed up with chemotherapy, then your chance of surviving 5 years rises to about 30%, which isn't the best odds, but it's better than 7%.
Monty Python star Eric Idle recently revealed his tumour was unmasked early before it could develop. For survivors like him and Yvonne, initial confirmation of cancer was crucial. A former teacher, she's still here to not only read the Get Well cards from her pupils, but having just celebrated her 70th with her husband, many birthday cards too. James Dunham, ITV News.
You're watching ITV News Meridian here in the South East. Coming up, the golfer from Sevenoaks who wants to become the first with a disability to win a major.
And after a short-lived premiership, Liz Truss prepares for an even shorter-lived comeback.
And you can find more on today's top stories by heading to our website. Just go to itv.com/Meridian. You can call us on 0808 1010 095. And remember, you can also follow us. That's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
Now, the ITV Evening News continues after us, of course, with the national and international stories at 6:30. With the details this evening, here's Mary Nightingale.
Coming up, the Prime Minister is forced to admit the immigration system isn't working. Rishi Sunak's conceded not enough asylum applications are being processed after severe overcrowding at the Manston Centre in Kent. Failures in the police vetting process, the forces allowing in sexual predators and criminals. The climbing cost of a cuppa as food inflation rises yet again. And Jurgen Klopp, the latest Liverpool icon, awarded Freedom of the City for all he's achieved at Anfield. Well, do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
More than 70% of drivers have been put off owning an electric vehicle because of the increase in energy prices, according to the AA's latest poll. It shows rising bills and the cost of electricity is making people reluctant to buy one.
Well, sales of new petrol and diesel cars and vans will be banned in the UK from 2030, but the increasing cost of charging up is also fueling concerns raised by the RAC that the UK might not be ready to make that switch. With more, here's Amrit Birdie.
Paula Wolven runs a charity in Newhaven in Sussex, which relies on 2 electric vehicles to transport vulnerable people to activities and appointments. With energy bills soaring, she says they've noticed a considerable increase in their running costs, especially when using public rapid chargers.
Since we bought the electric car last year and we thought we were doing the right thing, the cost of charging it has almost doubled. There are 3 public chargers for 27,000 residents, and the cost of charging a rapid charger is about 3 times that of charging here on a slow charger. As a charity, obviously our money needs to go to the frontline delivery of services, and if charging an electric vehicle is going to impact on our service users, then we're going to have to make some difficult choices.
According to the RAC, the cost of charging an electric car on a pay-as-you-go basis at a publicly accessible rapid charger has increased by 42% since May, to an average of 63.29 pence per kilowatt hour. It means drivers who only use the public network to charge vehicles pay around 18p per mile for electricity. For petrol, it's just 1 pence more at 19 pence per mile, based on someone driving at an average of 40 miles to the gallon.
14% of people will say their next car will be an electric. Unfortunately, due to what's going on with the cost of living crisis, shortage of new cars post-pandemic, a lot of people won't be getting into them as soon as they would like. But it's still a very good way to go, very cost-efficient motoring, and of course extremely reliable because there are far fewer moving parts in an electric car than a petrol or diesel one.
Energy bill support from the government has meant electric car charge operators like Osprey have been able to reduce their recently soaring prices. However, they say a long-term plan is still needed.
With the cost of energy increasing by 600% in the last year, we nor any other business in the UK can purely stomach those costs. We have to pass some of it, unfortunately, through to consumers. We're delighted that we have been able to reduce our prices because we know there is the support from the government in terms of the energy bill relief scheme. However, we don't yet know how the mechanics of that scheme will work. So what we and all businesses need is clarity on the mechanics so that we know what energy costs we will really be paying.
The Department for Transport insists they want the UK to be a world leader in electric vehicles, pledging £2.5 billion over the last 2 years to support the transition, which they say will create new jobs and growth across the UK. Despite soaring electricity prices, electric vehicles offer lower maintenance costs and tax incentives, which is what's keeping many people plugged in to the idea of making the switch. Amrit Birdie, ITV News.
Get some sport now. Andrew is here and he's teeing off with ice hockey. No, it's not. It's golf. What have you got for us?
It is golf, yeah. Very nicely put. Because Kip Popert has told ITV News Meridian he wants to become the first disabled player to compete with the world's top golfers at a major tournament. Kip, who has cerebral palsy, returned to the top of the world rankings after winning his 4th event of the season on the Golf for the Disabled World Tour. But he doesn't want to stop there, as Joe Caution found out at Kip's home course, Wilderness Golf Club.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
I would use the plastic clubs my dad gave me to help me stand up, and when I was 2 or 3 and he realised I liked it, or 4, he'd be nudging me going, "Go ask Mum if we can go to the driving range," and I just enjoyed spending time with him.
Growing up, a few hours on the course in Sevenoaks was valuable family time for Kip Popert. Now he travels the world doing what he loves, and at 24, he's the #1 ranked disabled golfer. But to get there, it's taken immense patience, 10 major operations on his legs and feet, and has involved relearning how to play golf to adjust to the changes.
The way I see it is, when I did get frustrated with my legs, when I maybe did, give them a little slap or whatever, and be like, "Oh, why are they not working?" The reality of it is I could rub a genie bottle and still have cerebral palsy. So for me, it's sort of, my brain's always just clicked to sort of, you can't change that, so focus on what you can, and it's just a sport I've always loved because I think you need your legs a little bit in it. So it's a sport where I couldn't hide. If I was playing at someone that's more able than me, I'd see that as an awesome opportunity to beat them.
And it's that tenacity that Kip says has been his driving force to overcome any physical barriers. He was born with spastic diaplegia, a form of cerebral palsy which impairs the muscular movements in his legs. As well as winning 4 out of 6 events on the Golf for the Disabled World Tour this season, he also competes with able-bodied golfers. But he doesn't just want to compete.
So world #1 already, 24 years old. What's next? What's the ultimate goal? I want to be recognised, when it's all said and done, as one of the highest overachievers in sport. I think that would be pretty cool. 5 years' time, I would like to have won multiple times in professional events and be probably known as one of the world's best golfers with a disability and without. But yeah, I think a major would be lovely, and I truly believe I could do that. Go in!
And if he continues pitching and putting with similar positivity, the sky's the limit for Kip. Joe Caution, ITV News, Sevenoaks.
We look forward to following Kip all the way. Onto football, Southend are on a roll. They beat Barnet to make it 4 wins on the bounce in the National League. Well, at the other end of the table, Maidstone's goalless draw with promotion-chasing Solihull Moors has lifted them to within a point of safety. At the top, Southend have now gone 9 matches undefeated. Next up, the visit of top-of-the-table Notts County on Tuesday. Finally, cricket. The Southern Vipers have announced 4 of their players have been awarded central contracts by the England Wales Cricket Board. Lauren Bell, Charlie Dean, Freya Kemp and Danny Wyatt have been given the ECB contracts, Bell and Kemp having made their international debuts this year. And they'll play for the Vipers next summer when the England schedule allows. Great result all round.
Definitely was. Just
Cricket in November. I am very impressed.
It never ends.
Brilliant.
Andrew, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, she may have been the shortest serving UK Prime Minister, but Liz Truss is making something of a comeback. Today, an effigy of the former Conservative leader was lifted into place in a field in Kent.
Yes, the 11-metre structure will be set alight on Saturday by the Edenbridge Bonfire Society. Liz Truss joins the likes of Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, who've also featured in past events. Tom Savidis has more.
This may not have been the comeback Liz Truss was hoping for. An effigy of the ex-Prime Minister is lifted into place in Edenbridge, where it will await its fate on bonfire night. This 11-metre structure will be set alight in 3 days' time. Another short tenure for the former Conservative leader.
We asked the public to vote in who they would like to see as our infamous celebrity, and there was quite a few contenders this year, I have to say, but it was the few days events in government that really shot Truss to #1 in our sort of, the people's vote. So that was it. The decision was made.
And she will go up in flames on bonfire night.
Well, I like to say that she's like our launch pad for the whole firework display.
For more than 20 years, the Edenbridge Bonfire Society has been poking fun at high-profile politicians and celebrities. The event was last held in 2019, when the then Speaker of the House of Commons, John Bercow, was chosen. In the past, both Boris Johnson and Donald Trump have featured, as has Katie Price. Artist Andrea Deans has designed several of the past effigies. She says Liz Truss was a tricky customer.
Most of the time it just comes together really quickly. As I said, this time it was quite hard, especially with her face and with her likeness. And then of course you have to think about what you're going to put with it. So she's leaving her job, she's holding her box, and we thought it would be the best way to do it because you can fit quite a lot in it and you can reference a lot of things in one box. My favourite is the t-shirt because she said she's a fighter, not a quitter, the day before she actually quit. So I had to put that one in.
Liz Truss caused plenty of sparks during her short 45-day premiership, so it's no surprise that this effigy will go up in flames on bonfire night. Tom Savides, ITV News, Edenbridge.
Just noticed at the bottom there, Matt, did you see it was Larry the cat?
That's harsh. I like Larry the cat.
I was going to say I like Larry the cat too, but not long now. Saturday, I think, bonfire night.
Yeah, I was just at least Larry the cat's some stability.
Exactly.
The cat doesn't change. Yeah, Saturday night. I'm not sure the weather forecast is looking brilliant, which is a shame, but you know.
But lots of you will be going out to display, so well, you know the drill. It's the UK.
Take care.
Take care, and maybe watch this.
Should we get the forecast?
Yeah, why
not?
What
a perfectly timed link. Here's Philippa.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello there. Well, despite a fairly quiet day weather-wise, we are now seeing wet and windy weather moving in from the west, and it really does set the tone for the next few days. Further spells of rain, windy at times, and feeling quite a lot cooler than we've become used to. Now, speaking of that rain, the Met Office have a yellow rain warning coming into force at midnight tonight, and that takes us well into tomorrow. That rain really quite persistent, slow to clear, quite a bit of spray and standing water expected on the roads, and the risk of some localised flooding as a result. So here comes that rain, gradually working its way southeastwards through the course of the night and then tending to stall across the likes of Kent and East Sussex. Persistent, locally heavy, and combining that with the brisk winds, a very unpleasant evening and night ahead. Nevertheless, under the cloud and rain, it will be very mild once more, lows generally staying in double figures. So a thoroughly wet and miserable start to the day tomorrow. Really tricky driving conditions possible through the morning rush hour. Do take very good care. And that rain will be very slow to clear. But the chances are it will gradually clear away eastwards through the afternoon. Behind it, a lot of cloud. I think sunshine pretty hard to come by tomorrow. And a fairly cool feel to things. Highs for many 13 or 14 Celsius. Thankfully, though, as the rain clears, so too the winds will start to ease. These are the high tide times for tomorrow. Then for Margate, 6 minutes past 7 in the morning, 6 minutes past 8 in the evening. Now that rain will continue on its journey eastwards through tomorrow evening. A few showers to follow, but as we head into Friday, it looks as though we'll see a little ridge of high pressure building. So a pretty pleasant end to the working week before changeable weather for the weekend.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
And you're up to date in the southeast. And just a moment here on ITV, we've got the evening news with Mary Nightingale.
Yes, that's it from us for the time being, though. Plenty more, of course, on the website. Our late update just after 10:30. But for now, from the team, thanks for watching.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.